You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Hey, thanks for joining us. Guys, we got a special guest on the line. We are hanging out with my first ever international guest. How cool is this? We have none other than the man behind Mowing and Growing. And we got Martin Saifiti on the line, which is really cool. Martin, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
Hey, Brian. How you going? Pleasure to be here.
I'm doing great, brother. Thank you for jumping on the show. We've been trying to lock this down for a couple of days, and there's obviously a time change difference between both of us. So it's pretty crazy. It's actually late night for us and very early morning for you. And so I appreciate you chiseling out some time on your schedule to jump on the podcast with us. So for a lot of you guys that might not know Martin, he's been part of the lawn care community for 4 or 5 years, probably even longer, to be honest with you. Ever since I got to see him, on Instagram and YouTube, and just great branding, great guy, always positive, always engaging in the community. And I wanted to just get hear his story. There's so many things to unpackage here. Before I, get super excited, Martin, and I turn into an excited little schoolgirl here with my guest on the show. why don't for the folks that don't know you, why don't you give them maybe a 30 or 60 second snapshot about who you are, your background, your business, and where do you live? Because you do not live in the U.S., right?
Definitely not. So we're from Australia, and we live in a region called Central Coast, which is about 150 k's north of Sydney, which is the capital, well, not the capital, one of the biggest cities in Australia. And we've been operating our lawn care business here on the Central Coast since 2005. So we were right into year 15.
Wow.
I've been, so quite a while. And I ran solo in our business for about 10 years and then started employing people probably about 10 or 11 years ago. And where we're at the moment, we have one full-time worker that works with me and also a casual worker. And, of course, myself and my wife, who works nearly full-time in the business as well.
Okay. Very cool. Well, there's so many different things that we were spitballing before we hit the record button that I can't wait to jump into, because lawn care in America versus lawn care in UK, lawn care in Australia, it's entirely different. And so I was joking with Martin. I said, hey, forgive me if I ask a bunch of ignorant American questions, because the world revolves around us is what I'm joking, and that's just how we're brought up, right? But just having fun. And but I said I want to know so many different things about equipment, how you run your business. Like we have subdivisions here. Do you guys have subdivisions here? In Australia. So all these weird, fun questions. But I also want to know about your business and how things are growing and what's working out there. So let's do this. Before we jump into it, let's hear from the announcements, and then we'll rock and roll and go down the rabbit hole together.
Hey, lawn and landscape pros.
I'm talking to you.
Don't let your edge go dull.
Your competitive edge.
Sharpen your edge at the GIE Plus Expo this October 21st through the 23rd in Louisville, Kentucky.
Understand the words coming out of my mouth?
Innovative products, latest technology.
Wall to wall.
Talk face-to-face with engineers that design your favorite equipment. Then step outside and dive into the hands-on demo area, where you can drive, dig, and compare equipment to your heart's delight.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
This year, the wow gets even bigger with the new UTV test track.
The hands-on drone zone.
And free parking. Register now at GIE-Expo.com. And we'll see you in Louisville, Kentucky this October.
All right, Martin. So you guys are in Australia, like you said. You're 150 miles or kilometers, and was it northwest of Sydney, which is probably the only thing I know in Australia. So why don't you just maybe take 5-10 minutes here and give everybody your background of your business and how you came to be? Because if you've been in business since 2005, that's 15 years, and that is awesome. Did you get started as a young lad cutting grass when you were little, or was it something that you did after a different career? Because I'm just curious to know how you got into the green industry.
Yeah, sure thing. So originally we actually lived in Sydney, and I was a logistics supervisor and working in a office, and we used to, or I used to distribute Dell computers and Apple computers throughout Australia.
Mm.
So I was in that job for probably about 3 years in Sydney, and then we had our first son, Samuel, and we decided just to move out of the big city. We're not really Sydney city people, and it was a bit busy there in Sydney, so we moved up to the Central Coast, which is a lot more sort of laid back. It's a bit more rural, and it's a pretty interesting place. We've got the beach is like 8 minutes from our house, and then
Wow.
you've got suburbs, and then you've got acreage properties. So we moved up here just to start our family and buy a house and all that type of thing. And at that time, 2005, there weren't many jobs up here on the Central Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of like a lazy sort of region, or at that time it was. It has grown. And I didn't really want to commute every day, which a lot of people do. I didn't really want to spend 15 to 20 hours commuting in traffic and travelling. So I thought, what could I do? Could I get a job up here doing what I'm doing? But there was no opportunities up here. And then I thought we had a little bit of money saved, but not very much. And I came across an ad in the newspaper, and it was for a franchise. And that franchise was a lawn mowing business. We call it lawn mowing over here. It's not lawn care, but that's the term we use. And so I thought, I could do that. And I really like using my hands, working outside and all that type of thing. So I looked into this franchise, and I actually went out with them for a trial for a couple of weeks, and just to see if I liked it. And we didn't go ahead purchasing the franchise, but I decided to just go ahead and start my own business. So away we went, and we started out. I brought a $2,000 truck, which was a 1989 Ford Falcon, which was full of rust. And the only other thing I could really afford was a Honda 19-inch push mower, a Honda trimmer, and a Honda blower. And full of enthusiasm and green behind the ears, I went out and started mowing lawns. So there was a transition between when we actually moved from the city and moved up here to the Central Coast, and in that transition, I just, my wife and I, we didn't really know anything about business at all. So we barely had the internet at that time. We could barely get on the internet, and on the internet there was actually hardly any information. So we just looked at, how do you start up a business? How do you register a business? What insurances you need? I found one forum at the time, it was an Australian forum, and I got on there, and there was a bit of information on there and marketing and all that type of thing. So I just when we moved up here, I bought all the equipment, we put an ad in the paper, and we slowly built in that first year. And my goal in that first year was to match my income in my previous job, and we achieved that. I felt really good at achieving that, but because I didn't know much about business. I didn't really realise that I had to take out my running costs, and
Sure.
I would have been left with not quite what I made in my previous job. But we made it work, and also getting into business way back then was also more of a lifestyle change for us. We decided that we wanted to have more children. We've got 5 children at the moment, and that's all we're going to have. But
cool.
we had our first. At that time, we had our first baby, Samuel, and we decided that we wanted to have quite a big family, and we wanted to build this business in line with creating a good lifestyle. So we made a decision. My wife and I made the decision that she would stay at home with the kids, and I'd go out to work. And as we started our family, and the kids grew up, and they all went to school, and then at that point we'll start growing our business, and my wife will spend more time working on the business. And it's been quite an interesting journey. And now all the children at school, there's been a few changes in our business to try and expand. And it's working out pretty good, but it surely does have its everyday challenges.
Sure. So you guys have been in business for 15 years, and just to recap, you had a traditional job, and did you always see yourself doing something entrepreneurial, and whether it was the green industry or not, or did you just kind of back against the wall, like you said, and wanted to branch out and do your own thing, or just curious? I'm always wondering how people get into business for themselves.
Yeah, I think at the time when I was working for the company in Sydney as a logistics supervisor, I used to put in quite a lot of hours. I was on a salary, and there was nothing to do. It was nothing to do, like 12-hour days, 6 days a week.
Wow.
You sort of get caught up in everyday life, and you're putting in all these hours, and you're trying to do the best for the situation that you were sort of in. And I sort of just came to the realization one day that I'm really putting all this effort in and not reaping maximum benefits. So I thought if I work for myself and start up a business, what I put into it is what we're going to get back, what we're going to reap back. So that was one of my main attractions was working outside, and one of my main attractions was if I work hard at my business, we're going to fully reap the rewards. So those were the two main things that got us into business. Plus, we could structure our lifestyle and our family life around the business type of thing. So our aim was always my aim was to stay solo as long as possible, and do that right up until all the children went to school.
Gotcha.
And so we stuck to the plan and learned a lot along the way, and we built really good foundations while I was solo, and got into a niche market, and also got some really high ends, real nice customers, really good customers in our business, and we just built on that and built those strong foundations. And so when we started to employ people, it was pretty solid. Our business was pretty solid, and we had a solid business, because I think it's pretty important that if you're going to bring people into your business, you have to be responsible not only for your livelihood but also the people you bring into your business, because I've got families and their own life. So you got to make sure that you've got a strong business with strong foundations, so you can not only support your own lifestyle, but you can support other people that you bring into your business. And
well, can I ask you
if you can do that, they'll keep
Well, I'm curious because to maybe piggyback off of that, what is lawn care or mowing, like in Australia? Like, because I know you've seen a lot of Instagram from the guys in the USA, right? And then a lot of YouTube videos, and then when I watch your photos or in your videos on Instagram, like the properties look entirely different, right? And so in the US, like we get a lot of like 1 acre and 2 acre size properties, and then the majority of things as well are in subdivisions, right? Do you guys, I know it sounds like a really weird question, but I'm just a nerd here. Like, do you guys have subdivisions, and is it set up the same way, or what is lawn care or mowing grass like in Australia? Is it you have a customer every 20 miles? Like, are you in the prairie? Like, I'm just just being funny, but I'm just curious how it is over there, because it's an entirely different world.
So in our region where we are, we're really lucky. We're in a pretty good region, and we can be quite diverse in the type of customers we choose to service. So in our region, we've got beachside properties, which are normal residential homes.
Okay.
And then it pushes back into the suburbs. So you got subdivisions, you got
cool.
We call them residential homes, and they're probably the biggest residential block would be like a 1/4 acre.
Okay,
and
sure.
Then from there, like you get into acreage properties. The acreage properties are seem to be about 2.5 acres to 5 acres. But you get bigger properties, but the usable lands would be about 2.5 to 5 acres. Those are the properties that we mainly mow, the 2.5 to 5 acre properties.
Okay.
But we also got residential homes as well. But some guys in our region, they'll just service residential homes. They'll have just use push mowers to 21-inch push mowers with a truck. Some of them that don't even pull it around a trailer, and they'll have one guy helping them, or they'll be on their own, a solo operator, and they'll just service residential homes. Our cutting cycles over here in the summer months bi-weekly. It's not really too often that we'll get weekly cuts, so it's a bi-weekly cut. So say a solo operator would have about 120 to 150 accounts.
No kid.
And then they'll cut that bi-weekly. Some might have less. And then like what we do is we're concentrating on this is our business, Mowing and Growing. We concentrate on acreage properties, large properties, schools, large complexes, acreage properties, and we have a few residential properties mixed in there as well.
Okay.
So we're starting to see businesses over here in Australia that are servicing residential homes in the big cities, and also regions like ours are starting to use ride-on mowers. Whereas when I started back in 2005, we were just pretty much all using push mowers. We were putting ride-on mowers onto the residential properties, and I think I did. I just got onto YouTube and just got educated through YouTube and just watched how you guys sort of did things over there, how you did your setups, what type of machinery you used. When we started back in 2005, there weren't even many available zero turns on the market. Really, people weren't really pushing them. They're still pushing like lawn tractors with the steering wheel.
Wow.
So they weren't really popular, and slowly they've got more and more popular. They were available, but they didn't push it in the market. It's just like stand mowers over here at the moment. They're slowly becoming available, but the dealers are not pushing them. And I think the big companies are finding out that us contractors, business owners, interested in them and want them to bring more of them into the country.
Sure.
And so there's a few of us over here that are got stand-on mowers, but it's not they're not as popular, but they're getting popular. Yeah. So we're like 5 or 10 years behind the United States in equipment-wise, but the equipment is valuable to us, but it's just not readily available.
Do you guys get all the same brands that we do, or different brands? Like there's some brands that you guys get and the UK gets that we don't get. But then, you look at a Husqvarna and they're available worldwide. So I'm always curious, what's the most popular brands? I know you're a big Toro guy. Shout out to Toro. They're good people. What brands do you guys get to use, if you don't mind me asking?
We get all the major brands. We used to get X-Mark, but they've just gone the Toro way now. But we pretty much get all the major brands. But say in our region, it's probably like similar to the United States. Not all the brands are available. In our region, we'll get Gravely, Walker mowers, Bobcat, Toro.
Oh wow.
Who else? I think that's it in our region. But then if we go further out, you'll get Skag.
A couple of the other brands.
I think that's about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a couple of the other brands. So it just depends what dealers in your region. Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at your Instagram here while we're having this conversation, and you have, really good photos in general. I need to step up my Instagram game because your photos are way better than mine. My wife is always like, my wife always gives me crap. She's like, "How are you good at social media? You don't even know what you're doing." And I'm like, I thoroughly agree. And I go, I don't know, but your Instagram is really good. If you guys haven't followed Martin, mowing and growing. So what kind of grass types do you guys get? Do you guys get, we're here in Michigan in the U.S. and we get a lot of Kentucky blue, fescue, rye. Do you guys get the same kind of grass types and the same kind of growing conditions, or how does that? Can you elaborate? Because I don't think everybody here in the U.S. Totally gets your guys' landscape.
Yeah, so we get three really popular grass types we get here in Australia, and it's pretty much right through the whole of Australia. These three grass types are kaipuru, which is sort of like, is there a grass in the United States called centipede or something like that?
Yeah, centipede, yep.
Centipede? Yep, so it's similar to centipede. And then we get buffalo. Buffalo is pretty much exactly the same as St. Augustine.
Okay.
And we get a grass type called cooch. And cooch would be similar to rye, but we cut it a lot shorter.
Okay.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of your lawns look like carpet. So.
Yeah, so we can't. We can stripe, but we can't. But it's like the lawns in Florida. We make them look like carpet because we can't really stripe on these lawns.
Sure.
And so if we can pull off a few stripes, we get pretty excited by it. Yeah.
I love it. Well, some people don't even like stripes, and in the Midwest over here in Michigan and the Midwest of the U.S., like everybody's throwing out for their stripes, and that's makes it look like those golf courses, here in the States. Yep. That's really cool. So you guys, your equipment has obviously continued to grow over that last 15 years. If you don't, everybody always nerds out on equipment. I know I do. But what everything that you guys use though is slightly different. Like we have big trucks and big diesels and big gas. Do you guys use a lot of the same equipment that we get here stateside, or do you guys, I know you have the Australian version of the Ford Ranger, which we just got, like the European version of the Ford Ranger in 2019 or 2020. My younger brother has one. It's really cool. But I think that's one of the first things I really saw on your Instagram page was your black truck with the cool roll bars, and the lights. So why don't you just tell everybody about your truck and your trailer setup? Because I think a lot of people would love to know how that's all come together over the last decade.
Yeah. So I purchased that truck about 3 or 4 years ago, I think, and that is a Ford Ranger. It's got a aftermarket grill on it, so I put an aftermarket grill on it. I put new mags on it, new different wheels on it. I think the Ford Rangers are quite a lot smaller than like the trucks you have over there in the United States. We're slowly getting Rams over here, and compared to the Ram, it's a lot smaller.
Sure.
Did you find that with your brother's Ford Ranger? Is it quite a lot smaller than?
Yeah, so we have like we'll call it like a mid-size truck versus like a full size, or a light duty truck versus a regular size duty or a regular cab. And then there's like the super duties or their HDs. So that's like so basically like you have your lighter trucks, like your Ford Rangers, your Chevy Colorados, and then you have your half tons, they call it, like your F-150s and your Dodge Rams. And then you go full send, as the kids say, and you get your HD trucks, your Super Duties, your Dodge Ram 2500s, your Chevy 2500s. But unless you're hauling heavy or plowing snow, you don't really need those. I mean, so many people get started with F-150s, and even like Nissans are really popular for in the U.S. And like Toyotas, especially if you swear off domestics, you like your Toyotas and Nissans. But do you guys get a lot of the same couple brands over there, or is it mostly Ford?
So we're mostly Ford. We have Nissan and other European sort of trucks. But so the Ford Ranger is probably the same size as your Nissan. They're that Japanese trucks. So that's the size of our most of our trucks, about that size or even smaller. And because our roads are quite a lot, I think our roads over here are quite a lot smaller than in the US.
Sure,
Everything I see on Instagram and on YouTube, everything is big. In the United States, everything seems big, like big trailers, big trucks. To be honest, if we put that on our roads quite a lot more narrower and seem to be a bit more smaller, we probably wouldn't. I wouldn't be able to pull up to half of my drive. Yeah.
Sure.
So, we run our Ford Ranger and trailer setup. On the back of that trailer, we've got room for one 0-turn, which is usually a walker mower, which I'm going to probably make redundant pretty soon in our business. I'm looking at doing that this season.
Oh, cool.
And we're going to, I'm looking at purchasing another standard mower, which will be only a 36-inch.
Okay.
And we're going to be using that on residential properties. So the Ford Ranger and the trailer are set up to do residential properties, like the small blocks, small quarter-acre blocks. And then we have a truck set up, and we put the two Toros on that, and that's for large acreage properties. And with that, we knock out about probably 20 acres a day. And then with the residential, one person can knock out, I don't know, depends on the sort of run, probably about 15 lawns a day on the residential, which is the Ford Ranger and the trailer. But actually, I've been contemplating whether to sell that Ford Ranger and do a whole different setup. So I want to get rid of the trailer and I want to get rid of the Ford Ranger, and I want to. This is an idea I've got from the United States: is to put a stander on the back in the tub on the back of the truck, so we don't have to pull around a trailer, and just I think it'll be more efficient than pulling around a trailer. So like all these sort of different ideas, how you can become more efficient out on the field, how you can become more efficient in your setup, even what you're saying with your stopwatch or the stopwatch stuff. Like my big thing back in the day was, especially when you're solo, I used to play these games with myself and write my time down, and if I can better that time the next time and find ways to become more efficient in your setup. I've got a lot of ideas from you guys in the United States, and I'm pretty excited that we're getting access to a lot of more accessories like Green Touch industry racks. If you look at some of my real old videos, we didn't really have access to any type of trimmer racks. I think if we tried to order them off eBay or something, they'll be like triple the price than in United States because of the freight.
Right.
So I just welded up my own and made my own trimmer racks, which a lot of guys here in Australia do. But finally, this year and last year, there's a couple of distributors here in Australia that are bringing all the accessories in, so we can get our setups more efficient. And
there's a guy that messages me all the time. It's Vaughn something. I forget the guy's name. Forgive me. Do you know who I'm talking about? He's getting like Equipment Defender set up and like a bunch of other brands. I know Green Touch over there. That's cool. I black or green doesn't make any difference to me. Brian 10's worldwide. I don't care. Trying to save people money across the world. I don't care. But no, it's always funny the stuff that we take for granted in the States, because it's just so much going on. People sometimes forget to be thankful and all this other stuff. And the guys in UK and all that area, I get tons of people watching. It's funny because I click my YouTube stats once a quarter. I really don't go down the rabbit hole, because to me it's all like hieroglyphs and Fibonacci numbers. I have no idea what any of my analytics mean to me. I'm just like, I'm just gonna make another video and see how it goes. But like we get a ton of views and watch time from the UK, and a ton of views and watch time from Australia. And so I always love watching what you guys are doing, and I just think it's cool. I mean, it's one thing when like somebody can watch our videos in the United States and they live 2 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours away, and they can, look over the shoulder and see what that guy's doing. But how cool is it when somebody's, 18, 24, 36 hours away, whatever, and on the other side of the world, and you guys get to see what we're doing, and vice versa. We don't have it all figured out. There's a lot of innovation that comes out of Italy and Europe that I know the U.S. takes a lot of inspiration from. And if you don't get to have all those kind of conversations behind the scenes, it's like kind of tough to appreciate that. But no, that's really, really cool. So if you don't mind me asking, so do you have two crews that go out? Because I know you had said that sometimes your sons help you. So do you take one truck and the two Toros out with the it's not a box truck, it's like a flatbed truck with the ramps. Do you take that out for your open acreage, and then do you take somebody else take the other truck out for the residentials, or do you just switch back and forth?
Yeah, so I'll take the truck out for acreage property, and I'm mainly on that, and then I've got a guy who's doing the residential lawns.
Okay.
But I've got a casual guy on call. At the moment, I'm supposed to have a worker with me, but I'm working solo at the moment on my own at the moment because the last guy that was working with me, he left not too long ago. So
okay.
We're looking for another employee, and we're trying to test out employees. And in the meantime, I'm just trying to rethink things in our business and seeing if our structure is right in our business and how I can tweak things up.
Sure.
I don't really mind working on my own. I quite enjoy my own company.
Mm-hmm.
But in the last, especially last year, we had a really interesting year in our business, and we had quite a lot of. At one time, I think I had five people working for me.
Sure.
And it just got a bit too big and chaotic. So I sort of
Sure.
downscaled it. And I think it's quite important. You sort of sometimes you can lose sight of where you're going in your business, and sometimes you're reactive instead of proactive, which sort of happened to us in a way last year. So this year we'll sort of plan things out a bit better, and we're going to stick to our plan. Where last year we had a plan, but we didn't really stick to our plan, and it got a little bit chaotic. But we got through in the end. But in saying that, we had our best year ever on record, and the last 6 months, which is the last 6 month financial year, I think we did more than we made the whole previous financial year. So it was a chaotic year, but I suppose financially it was good. But there's quite a few things I sort of need to iron out and think things through.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, let's do this. I'd love to keep the conversation going because I want to talk to you about social media, YouTube. I want to talk to you about just different things that you guys have going on over in Australia. I want to hear your some of your business mindset, maybe some tips for guys. Because you've been doing this for 15, 16 years now. A lot of guys love listening to all the X's and O's. I know I do. And so let's do this. Let's take a quick break. We'll get a sip of water here, and we'll jump right back into it and kind of unpackage some of those thoughts. So here we go.
We want to thank the lawn and landscape community for making GIE Plus Expo their place to reunite as an industry. Like a family reunion, thousands of dealers, landscape pros, and contractors return annually to network, share ideas, learn best practices, and make new friends. It all starts Wednesday, October 21st with the opening reception and continues into the night with free concerts in downtown Louisville. At the show, you'll have the opportunity to share experiences and brainstorm new approaches to your business challenges with friends and like-minded professionals. You don't want to miss the opening keynote, Secrets of Being an Effective Leader, presented by retired Navy 4-star Admiral James Stavridis. Register now at GIE-expo.com, and we'll see you October 21st through the 23rd in Louisville.
All right, Martin. So I have a couple questions for you. With running your business and growing things after the last 15 plus years, like you said, you've learned some things. You've probably made mistakes, to be honest with you. I know I have. What's some takeaways that you'd like to have folks maybe learn, whether they're 18 to 25 or maybe they're 30, 32 years old, and they're caught up in the corporate America race is what we call it, the rat race, and they got a couple bucks, but they want to maybe make a transition into a different career and maybe the green industry. Anything that kind of stands out to you over the last 5-10 years that you could give some pearls of wisdom to the folks that are listening in?
Yeah, sure thing. I think if you're just starting out in business and you want to get into our industry, I think we all do this. I do this. Is you just got to start somewhere, and you just got to get started. Like I used to make excuses. Well, I suppose there are excuses. Excuses like I'll start doing this when the time's right. I'll start doing this when this, that, and the other. The time's never going to be right. I think if you really want to do it, you just have to jump in and get started. And so if you want to start a lawn care business, I wouldn't. When I started, I didn't like. I left my job. We had a little bit of money saved, and we just got through it. And the first couple of years was a struggle, but was it really a struggle? When I look back, we didn't have much, but we were just enjoying the process. We sacrificed a lot of materialistic things. Especially when my wife wasn't working and we're trying to build the business, we sacrificed a lot of materialistic things. But in some ways, I'm really grateful for that because you learn valuable lessons when you sacrifice, for instance, materialistic things for an important cause. So it taught me how to be really frugal, how to count my pennies, how to work to a budget, how to work to a family home environment budget, and so like progressing right through the years to where we are, and we're making a pretty decent living. We still like value like the sort of income that we make. We just make sure that we sort of spend our money wisely. So like, I'll just suggest to guys that want to get into the industry, just have a go and get into it, and maybe start off part time, and keep your job and just start doing lawns on the side, and maybe after work, and then on the weekends, and when you're ready to make that jump, just go ahead and go for it. And also, there's a wealth of knowledge out there. I think when we started our business, there wasn't much information out there at all, and that's why I think I'm really used to making mistakes and learning from my mistakes. Whereas, like I'm probably making different type of mistakes and some wrongs. I'll call them making not the best decisions in our business, even like today.
Right.
But I think, be prepared to make mistakes. There's nothing wrong with making mistakes. You'll learn from the mistakes. But the knowledge now is out there, and man, it's instant. So when we started, we might have had a few forums, but if I asked a question on a forum, it could take like 300 replies and like 2 weeks to get the answer.
I always talk about that. It's entirely different today how it was 10 or 15 years ago, because you couldn't ask the guy next to you for help. You were a competition, right? And then the other guys that would help, well, they had $5 million businesses, and they were, not that you couldn't access them or they weren't approachable, but it just wasn't the same as what we're doing with YouTube, and especially not what I feel like I'm trying to do with YouTube. And I'm just literally giving it all away for free. I don't care. Yeah. I just want to help people. Like you said, my first 10 years was brutal. I mean, it's a miracle that I'm still in business. But I like what you said about reinvesting in the business. I think that's all I did for the first 10 years. We would get a mower, burn up the engine, and reinvest, buy another mower, and the business kept growing. We kept adding clients, and it kept kind of like gaining momentum. And I think you should be able to do that in 3, 4, 5 years, maybe not 10 like it took us with what you got access to today. You know what I mean? But I also like what you said about getting the if you're going to jump onto the boat, try to get the boat as close to the dock. A friend of mine named Andy from Cut and Clean in the U.S. He was on the podcast. He left his full-time supervisor job, and he's like, well, I want to get this boat as close to the dock if I'm going to make that jump, just to make it easy, you know. And I think before you go full-time, if you can get 10, 20, 30 clients and you know, kind of start that jump and bridge, I think that's super smart. And so anyway, not to you know, take the whole mic, but I think that's a great tip with what you were saying. I think that's huge, that if you want to go full time, you know, be smart, you know.
Exactly, and another good point is to research. So there's like I said, all the information's out there now. So guys like yourself and other YouTubers that put valuable information out there. I was very similar to, or we were very similar to. We would have started business around the same time as you, Brian, and so we both will probably come from that crossroads to where we are now with all the information flowing through freely. And so it took us a long time to build strong foundations in our business, and we built our business like really, really slow. And when you're going through that really slow period in your business and you don't know any better, you can also get complacent. And then one day I think when I was researching, looking for different mail types. So I wanted to purchase a 0-turn mower and bring it into our business. And I jumped on the internet, and then I jumped on YouTube. And one of the first videos that came up was Geek the Freak, and I thought, why is this guy freaking cutting lawns? And who's going to watch this guy cutting lawns? I do it every day, so why am I going to watch this guy cut lawns? The next thing, 3 hours later, I'm still watching this guy.
I know what you're talking about.
And I thought, this guy's just brainwashed my mind and just made me and put me under the spell, because I'm still sitting here three hours later.
Dude, for sure.
So I remember that. And then also another early one was G Packard. I think he's still making
videos. Dude, G Packard. Yeah. I loved watching that guy. I don't know if he's still making videos, but I don't even know the guy's name, but he was a cool dude. So
he was. So I watched a lot of his videos back in the day, and I think he opened up. He's a bit of a character, but he put a lot of good information out there.
Totally.
And he sort of opened my eyes, and I thought, I think I am a business owner. I think it's about time I start growing my business and doing things a bit differently instead of treating this as a job. So
sure.
It was really good to find out that there's other people out there like doing what we're doing, and
how did you find these guys on YouTube? Did they get promoted to you? Because I was just watching YouTube one day and a Geek the Freak video popped up, and I think everybody, I mean, it's crazy, but everybody's got a Geek the Freak story. And you know, and I've messaged Greg back and forth on Facebook Messenger. It'd be really cool to get him on the show one day. But he's you know, he's kind of off the reserve right now, and I don't blame him. But he seems like a really cool dude. I never got a chance to meet him, but did you start like finding all these videos on YouTube, like searching out? Like you know, some guys had problems in their business and they started Googling, you know, how to run a lawn care business, right? Was that you, or did they just get promoted to you?
I think when I was researching mowers, so
okay,
see
sure,
how 0-turn mowers went down hills and up hills, and see if they could handle the hills, because in our region, we've got plenty of hills, and there was a myth going around over here in Australia that a 0-turn mower couldn't go up a hill. So I thought, can the 0-turn mower go up a hill or not? Is it safe enough to have a 0-turn mower and go up all these hills on these properties I've got? So sure. That's what I searched for, and next thing these videos came up, and then would that be 2014 or 15, I think? And
sure.
Yeah, then I saw Top Notch, and who else was around? Johnny Moe. Johnny Moe was around then.
I love Johnny Moe. Great guy. We had him on the podcast. He's a great dude. All these OGs, you know, I call them. Yeah. Seth was there. It seems like Seth has always been there. Seth was there. Yep. The lawn surgeon. There's a couple of guys in the UK, John Ryan, and also UK Lawn Care. They were making videos, and
and I thought, man, this is really cool.
Well,
I don't feel so isolated now. I can really relate to these people.
Well, you were always one of those guys that I had saw 5 years ago. But you were holding down the Australia front, and totally. Like when I jumped on YouTube, it was 2016, and it was like the year of B&B with Blake Albertson, and with his Stripe videos and his drone videos and all that stuff, right? And so, which by the way, you have a YouTube channel as well, shameless plug, but Motown, right? Mowing and Growing, and okay, so were you just watching YouTube videos and now you wanted to start making YouTube videos, or because it's a grind, man? Like people have no idea, and so you really got to be passionate about it. How did you get started making videos?
Yeah, like YouTube is a beast, I'll tell you. So this is my second channel. This is my second lawn care channel. Like I had my first lawn care channel. I sort of had a little following there, and then I thought, man, I don't know if this is for me. And I got rid of that channel. And then I came back 6 months later because I really enjoyed the interaction and also the creative process. So this is like Motown 2.0.
2.0, sure.
And I haven't been really, this time around, I haven't been really consistent. So I just put out content when I feel like putting it out. So some people will notice, like, I won't put anything out for a while, and then I'll get some inspiration. I'll just put a flurry of videos out, and then I might have a bit of a break. So yeah, that's where YouTube is for me at the moment. But when we started back then, or I started making videos, I think I just started on my phone, and I thought, oh, these guys are putting up videos, I'm going to start filming myself. So that's what I did. And I remember I put out quite a few videos, and I thought, I know there's someone watching these videos, but I don't think I've had one comment yet. And I was talking to myself into the camera. I think I was loading my gear onto my trailer, and I just said on the top of my voice, top of my head, I said, I don't know if there's anyone watching these videos, because I've been putting quite a lot of videos, but out, but I feel like really silly talking to myself. And then I put that video up, and then next thing someone commented, they said, I've been watching you for about 3 weeks, just keep on putting the videos up on.
Yeah.
That's all I needed. I thought these real people on the other side. So it is a bit of a journey, YouTube. Like I enjoy the creative process, and I like the editing and the music and all that type of thing. And if I've got anything to share, I just drop it in there somewhere in a video. So I don't really plan my videos. Everything's just done off the cuff. Usually it's.
Is there a lot of guys doing YouTube in Australia? Just to be honest with you, like, are you the only guy?
No. Oh, I wouldn't even say there's a handful of us. I probably only know 1, 2, 3 guys that are doing it.
Sure.
And I've contacted other people through Instagram, and I try and encourage them, but you can't make people make videos. But I said, you should put some videos out and all that type of thing. But there's not many of us doing it. But even like the social media sort of not industry, but our social media, what would you call it over here?
The following or the
community,
audience?
Community.
Yeah,
community over here is just sort of starting to take off now.
Yeah.
Here in Australia. So there are Australian guys getting more involved on Instagram and putting more content out, which is good. So we're starting to see that coming in the last year. So that's building up, but not too many on YouTube. There's a few guys, but
well, Martin, we have to get you. You know where you got to get to, right? In this next November.
Yeah, I would love to come to the GIE.
We need to get you a flight, man. This one's sponsored by Toro or Brian's Law Maintenance. I don't know. So
this one's sponsored by Martin Saifiti.
yeah. Mowing and Growing.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
I thought about we put some. Really thought about going last year, but we went away somewhere else. We went to Fiji.
Struggle.
So this year, it was a choice of Fiji or the GIE, and
tough decision.
Yeah. But this year, I'd really like to come to the GIE.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Just meet all these awesome people I've been watching all these years. Stanley and top notch, and yourself and
Yeah.
Blake and everyone. Yeah,
That's really, really
it'll
cool.
be pretty surreal. It must be a surreal feeling when you meet all these people.
It's an
in the flesh.
Incredible show, man. There's 25,000 people in this lawn care community. And by the way, whether you make videos or you don't make videos, whether you're on Instagram or you just double tap and hit heart, if folks want to quote unquote be part of the lawn care community, like, it's not exclusive, okay? Like, it's just a good fun group of people, and whether you're in the UK or Australia, USA, Canada, we got a lot of Canadian friends. It's a very interesting industry because it's typically pretty cutthroat, and a lot of people like underquoting or underbidding, sort of. And I think we could all go the opposite way. I think we can all work together and keep elevating, the industry. So I think it's a really unique situation we're all in. Hey, I have a question. I wanted to circle back on this one. You were talking about running it as a family business. Your wife is involved. Does she join you in the field, or does she just help you with the office and the back end, sort of like my wife does, or what? How do you guys run the business together as a married couple?
So my wife, Fleur, she doesn't work out in the field. She's in the office, so she does like all the emails, all the invoicing, scheduling, does our procedures. So we in the last year and a half, we've been working through our business and try to put procedures in place and documenting all those. So she does all that type of thing. She does the payroll and all that type of thing. Marketing, she markets the business.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and she does And when I go out in the field, I'm always forgetting something. So at least 2 times a week, she's coming out, visiting me, dropping things off, materials or tools or something like that. So she does a lot of running around in the business.
Sure.
And a lot of research on the marketing side to bring more customers in. And we're big on customer service, so she's always in contact with the customer, just making sure that everything's running smoothly.
Yeah. And
just going that extra mile in customer service. We're really big on customer service and making sure that we can look after our customers, not only when we're out in the field, but when we're servicing their properties, but also on the back end through our correspondence with them, letting them know, when we're turning up or any information they need. So we're really big on that, and just really try and look after those special people that that we provide our service to. So it's really like my children have been working in our business. My youngest son, he actually started, this might seem a bit odd, but he actually started working when he was 4 years old. So I started taking him out when he was 4 years old and would do garden jobs.
Okay. So,
and he still comes out now and again. If I do get like a little garden job on the weekends, he's 7 now, but he'll come and do some gardening. And
he probably loves it. Gets to hang with Dad,
So, I took him, started taking him up when he was 4 years old, and he'll just like get the rake and rake up some. He'll spend a couple of hours with me, and then his mother will come and pick him up, and I'll go off to the next job. And my other 2 boys, my oldest son Samuel, he works with us during the school holidays, and we pay him like a normal adult wage, sort of on the books, and he's saving up to. We do a little percentage split for him, so he splits up his pay and he's saving for a car and he has a bit of spending money.
Oh, cool!
And so he can handle the ride-on mowers and trimming, so he's at a good age where he can handle all that. So it's been a blessing to be able to work with my son, and you form a special bond. But in saying that, it's a family business, and it can also get chaotic. And I think we're talking before the podcast, and I was saying how sometimes you got to be aware of your surroundings and be aware of how your boundaries and how you're going through your business and how your business is going. But you got to make sure that it doesn't get too lopsided and your whole family environment isn't just all business, because it's happened to my wife and I where it's just all business. And I think when we started bringing employees into our business, like it is a big challenge, and things can get a bit lopsided. So you bring employees into the business so you can maybe step back a bit, but you find I found that it didn't free me up that much. I was just more busy in a different type of way. So I wasn't on the tools, but I was more busy organising things and So
sure.
Relationship wise with my wife and I, we just make sure that we have time out for ourselves. We used to have our office in our house, and we moved that out into the garage. And just what we do is every night when I come home from work, we'll have a touch base. We'll go in the office before we come inside. We'll touch base, and we'll have a meeting every night, and we'll just tie up loose ends. We'll talk about the next day, what needs to be done the next day. We'll talk about any issues, if there's any issues with any jobs or clients we need to contact, so we'll just offload to each other.
Yeah.
And then she'll tell me what she's going to be working on the next day. So she's got her stuff that she needs to work on during the week. So we get that all out of the way, and then it only takes sometimes only 10 minutes. If we've got a lot going on in the business, we might be in there for an hour or more.
Sure.
But usually it's only 10, 15 minutes to tie up some loose ends and touch base, and then we shut up the garage, shut everything down, and that's it. As soon as we come inside, it's family time. Yeah.
I love hearing how it works. Yeah, no, I love hearing how everybody runs their family. I mean, you got kids, and you're in a different season of your life than I am, and I'm going hopefully into a different season, maybe having kids in the future this year. And so I'm always curious how people run their life. Like for Liz and I, we regroup on Sundays for about an hour. We call it our board of directors meeting. And it's a non-negotiable every Sunday, 4, 5, 6 p.m. We sit down in front of a whiteboard, our calendar. We're looking at content for social media, the traditional business. Where am I going to be? What am I going to do? What's the weather look like? Because for us, one thing that you and I were talking about, and I learned this from a lot of folks, including a friend of mine, Keith Kalfas, is date night. My wife and I, we like going out. It's funny. We go out on Tuesdays or Thursdays, whichever one we have off. But it's a non-negotiable that we get a night together a week at a minimum. Now I'll say this tongue in cheek, in the winter, if it's not snowing, I'm home every day, so we get to see a lot of each other. But it gets pretty thin in the summer, and everybody thinks that that we're just actors and we just do YouTube, but the reality is I'm working 60 hours a week, just like you guys, cutting grass, and you might be listening to this right now while you're on the mower and doing the whole deal. And quite honestly, if we look up at the same sun and we look down, probably don't look up at the sun, by the way, but if you look up and I'm probably looking up at the same sky you are, and I'm probably out there pulling weeds and cutting grass and doing the whole same deal you guys are, but I think being organized with your spouse, having more communication and being on the same page really, really helps. And I appreciate you kind of opening up about how you guys run your family, because you have a big family, a lot of moving parts, Yeah,
100%. So it's quite interesting. Before, we used to have these meetings, and we didn't really sort of touch base. What would happen is in the evening we'll start talking about work, and we'll be mentioning things like passing in the hall, talking about this customer, or sitting down at a dining room table, and we'll start bringing work into our not our personal life, but our personal time, if you want to say, when it should be we should be present we try to be, now we're more present with our children, and when we're around them and that, instead of thinking about work, because I forgot to tell you this, I forgot to tell you that, or so now we're a lot more balanced with business and home life. We still talk about business, we still enjoy talking about business, but we don't have to get down to the nitty gritty, for instance, don't forget you got to email this customer or that customer. When it's conversation about business, it's fun stuff, or great ideas, or that type of thing, but it's not the nitty gritty stuff about this customer or that customer. We get all of that out of the way before, as soon as I get home, and then it's sort of done.
Right.
And we also we started doing this last year. We started having like time out for my wife and I, and so we do a family night when we on the weekends we do a family night, and then we do a night for my wife and I. We'll go out to dinner or catch a movie or something like that, which is really important. I think you need to make time to do these things, and
Sure.
they're really rewarding. Yeah.
That's really, really cool, man. Well, I appreciate you kind of giving the perspective of running a business in Australia and the equipment and how you guys do everything. I'm just fascinated. You know, I love your Instagram, dude. I'm telling you, like everything. The posts are bold. They're fire. Like a lot of good thought process. A lot of fun memes. You know, and if folks aren't following you, they're missing out. I know you and I. We've messaged back and forth for probably 2 years, if not longer. And I just, you know, one of the reasons to do this podcast was to kind of, I've told people is to like give the background. You know, I've known of you for probably 4 or 5 years, but I've never got to hear your story. To me, you were just like the Australian guy, you know. Hey, Martin, can I tell you a really funny story? Like, you got 10 seconds? So I was at, we have a restaurant called Outback Steakhouse. Do you know of these?
Oh, all right.
So it's like a decent little restaurant. It's like where you go when you're 19, 20, 21 and you want to take your girl out. You know, it's a decent little restaurant. I like Outback. Some people hit or miss, but anyway, this is just a really dorky story. But one time, I was there with my wife, Liz. This was like a year ago. And, we sit down and, you know, we order appetizers, right? And in the book, the little menu, they call them, Aussie-tizers. Right, like Australia, you know, Aussie-tizers, and so I had this guy, like he came up and he's like, you know, can I get your drinks? And I order Cokes or whatever, and then I go, hey, can I order an Aussie-tizer? And he looks at me like this funny awkward look. He just like stone cold stared me down, and he goes, we don't call that here. And he just goes, you mean an appetizer? I go, yeah, an Aussie-tizer. He goes, we don't say that here. And it was like this really awkward, but I'm like, it says it right here in the menu. He goes, just call it an appetizer, would you? And so yeah, so I don't know if you guys call them Aussie-tizers down in Australia, but man, when Outback panders over here in America, they do it really well. So, you know, the shrimp on the bobby, and it's shrimp week, you know, and it's just, it's so patronizing, and I love it. But, no, this was selfishly a really fun podcast that I got to do with you. Any just kind of open mic, you know. Let's do this. Let's wrap it up with maybe 2 different parts. One, where can people find you on social media and all that? And then number 2, do you have any like last minute thoughts that you would give to anybody, like big picture stuff, as you've been in business for 15 years and maybe somebody's just getting started? You know, any final thoughts for those guys?
Yeah, man. So you can find us on YouTube at Motown Lawn Care, and also Instagram Mowing and Growing. Just any final tips is, man, have a plan. Like what we got into in the last few years is we map everything out. So I want to see where I'm going to be in 10 years time, and so I'll write down my goals, which is where we want to be in 10 years time, and that might be only a paragraph. And then I'll write down what I want to be, where we want to be in 5 years time, and that goes into a bit more detail. I'll write down a plan where I want to be in 3 years time, 2 years time, and 1 year's time, where we want to be in our business. And then the 1 year and 2 year, I break that right down, and the current year we're in, I go month by month. So small little goals each week, each month, which go towards the big goal where we want to be at the end of the year. And I have that all pictured on the wall, and I have all those goals written on the wall, and next to it I have photos and pictures. So that's in our office, and I just walk past, and now and again I'll have a look at it. And it was quite interesting so we do it every financial year. I do this and map out like our yearly goals, and So that's June. I start writing it up and get it on the wall by the end of June, and write down all our goals and just do that step by step. So just have a plan in your business and just try and think where you want to go, and also the type of life you want to live. And if the plan doesn't work and you get somewhere like beginning of last year, we had like 5 people working for us, and I downsized things, so we brought it back down to only 2 workers, because when we got there and I had these 5 people in my business, I just realised I didn't really want to go that big, so we made the conscious decision to downsize. So try and stick to a plan. If you get there and you achieve it and it's not where you want to be, well, you can change that plan. Yeah. So we're really big on goals, writing out 10-year plan, 5-year plan, 3-year, 2-year, so on and so forth, and also vision boards and all that sort of thing. It sort of just seems to work for us. Yeah.
I absolutely agree. I absolutely love that stuff. I absolutely believe in it. I think if you don't have a vision, and goals, then you're just kind of you're out there flailing in the wind, and by the way, you got to have those checkpoints, but that 1 year, 3 year, 5 year goal, be intentional is what I always tell people. And if you're not on pace with your goal, well, don't reduce the goal, increase the activity, right? I always heard that one from like Grant Cardone and those kind of guys. But no, dude, pearls of wisdom. I appreciate it. Well, you know what? To be honest with you, man, I appreciate you just being on the podcast. Like, I don't take it for granted. I know you're quote unquote just getting your day going, so I will get out of your hair. And I say that jokingly, as it's about 7:30, 8 o'clock at night on my time of the world, which is just funny. So thanks for being my first international guest as well. This was really cool. So now I can say we've international speakers on my podcast, So.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having us, and appreciate you having me on. And I had a great time.
Totally. Well, hey, you're always a friend of the show. If you ever want to do another one, we'll definitely be keeping in touch, and maybe we'll do like a mid-season update or something like that. I think that'd be really cool. But hey, if you guys enjoyed the whole conversation, you guys know what to do. If you haven't left a 5-star review and just give the podcast a big thumbs up and left a couple nice things about it, we really appreciate that. And again, if you haven't been following Martin here on Instagram, especially, you're missing out. He's got a great Instagram and always accessible. He always gets back to you on DMs. Give him 12 hours because he's sleeping when you're awake and vice versa. So, but hey, we'll wrap it up right here. So, Martin, thanks again for being on the show, brother.
Thanks again, brother. Had a great time.
All right, we'll catch you guys on the rebound.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.